Hello everyone, this is your English teacher Ruba Maali. In today's lesson, we're going to start with the last chapter of unit number 4. This chapter is going to be interesting and fun to you because we're going to read stories. And as you all know, before we read a story or before we read a reading text in general, we go through some vocabulary, some important vocabulary in the unit. And in order to understand better what I'm talking about, go to the workbook, page 113. You'll find the title, Literary Words. They are literary because we'll be talking about literature in general this chapter. You have 4 words: myth, fable, moral, and personification. The reason why I divided them into 2 parts is just to tell you that a myth and a fable are actually stories. Those are types of stories. Now, moral and personification are elements that you find inside stories, such as fable. You find them inside stories, such as fable. Now, according to your workbook, what is exactly a myth? Let's read together. A myth is a story from long ago, and myths often try to explain events in nature, such as the seasons of the year. So, what's so significant about myths? They talk about events in the nature, and those events actually happened from long ago. Now, that was myth. This is a type of story. Now, we have another type of story, which is fable. Now, a fable, according to your workbook, let's read together. A fable is a brief story that has a moral. It's a brief story that has a moral. So, the significant things about fables is, or are, we're talking about something brief. It's brief story. It's brief. And it also has a moral. There's a moral. You understand after reading a fable, after reading that short story or that brief story, there is a moral. Now, what is the meaning of moral? As you can see here, it's a term that we want. It's a term that you need to study for the exams. What do you mean by moral? A moral means, simply, it means a lesson. A lesson that you understand and learn after reading a story. Now, also in fables, as you can see here, in fables, the type of stories, we have something called personification. Personification looks long and difficult, but once you divide it like this and cut it like that, you'll find that we're talking about a person. Yeah, we know that word, person, people. So now it becomes easy to us. A person has to do with people. It has to do with the human beings. Okay, stories have something called personification. What does that mean? Exactly, in stories, what does that mean, personification? It's, let's say, according to your workbook and according to everywhere, personification is when, for example, an animal, acts and talks like a human, like a human being. Can you imagine an animal talks like a human, acts, hears, thinks, you see, feels like human beings? This is something really unusual. This is something unusual, but it happens in stories that we call fables. Okay, now I think that you understand that morals, personification are elements we see inside the stories. This is how you connect things together. If you connected, if you related the terms to each other, if you found a relationship between these two, between these four words, I think you'll be able to memorize them and study them and never forget them. Now, if you understood all that, please do the homework on page 113. If you finished your homework on this page 113 of your workbook, just picture it for me and send it to me so that I can make sure, so that I can check your answers, please. Also, as you all know, we are meeting on Google Classroom. So please go to Google Classroom, go to our classroom, 7National, go to there, and then you'll find an assignment. That assignment is actually like a homework. It has a file. In that file, you will find an explanation to those words. You'll find more explanation, more examples on those words, and you'll also find attached, let's say, explanations for you. And please contact me and send me any question that you face. I'll be ready for you. Thank you for listening.